fact, let's just make this simple and plain. I grab this, they won't remember his name. He'll be past tense. Literally go from Ave to memory lane. First.
You forgot about the little Noane. That thing be going crazy. And since Charlie bit me, it's one finger on the bait.
Y'all might have to play this back, but when you piece it all together, those are the type of lines that created smack. So
Hello. Welcome back to Spirit Language Show, and I have another special guest, one of the Rappers Pentagon contestants that closed out the year, Mr. A.Ward. A.Ward, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing blessed, man. I'm blessed, man. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate you.
No problem. Happy New Year to you. I think 2024 is going to be a great year. 4 is my favorite number. You know what I'm saying? So I'm superstitious, so I just feel like 4 is going to be a great year. And
nice.
Typically with these interviews, I just love interviewing battlers, specifically that have like a heavy hip hop influence too, because there's battlers that just battle, but then there's people that really are infused into the hip hop culture, and I feel like you're one of those people. So I want to ask you, who are some of the rappers that influenced you not only to get into battle rap, but influenced you in regards to like just how your outlook on hip hop?
Yeah, my first was my older brother. I tell people a lot of times, like, my older brother is the rapper of the family. You know, he's really the one that kind of took me under his wing when I was younger, you know, first, second, third grade, you know, and just kind of introduced me to hip hop, period. You know, and then kind of growing up under the tutelage of him, he was always a big East Coast, even though we lived in Tennessee, in the South, he was always real big on the East Coast, Wu-Tang, Nas, Jay-Z, you know, just heavy East Coast rap, you know, lyricism. And that's kind of what I gravitated to as well. You know, I did get to the point to where, you know, come around middle school time, you know, Hot Boys and No Limit, you know, all of that was kind of popping off. So, you know, Wayne became one of my favorite rappers as a young guy, as a middle school, high school. But I always did like Nas is my favorite rapper of all time. But I always just appreciated lyricism. Always appreciated people that could put together words well, rap well, metaphors. So, you know, I would say definitely Nas and Wayne are two of my probably most like instrumental in regards to like growing up. And then as I got older, you know, I move on to like some of the Royce da 5'9", even Joe Budden, big fan of Joe Budden, and kind of broadened everything. But it's always been about words to me. It's never really been about like, you know, hits or anything like that. Yeah, I do listen to Drake, you know, if I'm in the mood or whatever. But like, and Drake's a dope artist as well. But I mean, it's always been about like what's on the paper for me. So.
Yeah. Now, a question I have, this is more of a personalized question now that you mentioned it. What's your favorite Wayne mixtape? I think Wayne is one of the best mixtape like rappers we have. Like, you got 50 Cent, you got Wayne. There's other people you can argue too, but like, I want to know from you, since you said Wayne is one of your favorites.
Man, that's tough, bro. Like, he's definitely like top 5 mixtape artists of all time. You know. Yeah. Man, I don't know if I have a favorite.
I might personally throw in the Drought 3. I think I have a personal connection with that one, so I feel like that's the one I always go to in terms of mixtapes for sure. Yeah,
actually, that's probably what I would go to as well. Outside of that, I like Sorry for the Wait.
The first one.
There's a couple. Yeah, the first one. There's a man.
Got the dedications. You know what I'm saying? He got a lot of installments.
He got so many to choose from, man. So many to choose from, man.
No Ceilings is another one for me.
I was gonna say No Ceilings was probably gonna be mine. I was gonna say No Ceilings first, but No Ceilings. Yeah, man. There's so much Wayne, bro, and like, and for me, it's nostalgic. You know, like I just remember, you know, like I said, being in 7th, 8th grade or whatever. You know. Hey, yo, I'm shining, B-Man, glossing big time and stuff. And then, you know what I mean? Like, and I just remember the first album I ever bought out of my own money was The Block Is Hot, you know? And I remember going to Target because Walmart had it. They were edited, but you could go to Target, you know? And I remember getting the, I think it was a double XL magazine where he was on the front with that yellow Mercedes compressor.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, this is common periods in my life where I was just like, yo, but yeah, Wayne was my guy, man.
Yeah. Now on the battle rap side, who are some of like the foundational battlers or early on battlers that kind of encourage you to get into the battle rap scene as well?
Yeah, I always tell people like, my top battlers, that shout out to Norman. Hey, you good, bro?
Shout out to the cat.
yeah. You say you're superstitious, so I had to have a black cat walk by,
That's crazy. Off the top, that's crazy.
Off the top, yeah. I always tell people like, I've been a fan of battle rap for a long time before I ever started battling. It wasn't something that I just saw one day on YouTube and was like, oh, I could do this, and decided to do it the next day. But Bill Collector, Loaded Lux, and Hollow to Don were my three favorite battle rappers, all for different reasons. Bill Collector's entertainment value was just so high. He cracked me up. I thought he was hilarious. He actually had bars too, and it was more of an entertainment thing for me. Loaded Lux was the lyricist side of it, like I could just listen to what he had to say, all the time. And then Hollow to Don for me was the versatility. Like you just never knew what you were gonna get. Like he could punch, he could make jokes, he had multis, he had everything. And so those three guys were like my top battle rappers, as I'm watching battle rap. Then as I became a battle rapper, not that it switched, but like once you're like doing it professionally on a high level, and you're paying attention to your peers and you're seeing their work ethic and you're seeing them inside and outside of battles and then what they do, that's when, guys like Ill Will, rest in peace, Pat Stay, Rum Nitty, some of these guys or whatever, I started to realize like, these are really some of my favorite battlers in the entire world. So
that's kind of how I feel about football, because like I played defensive end since like I was like 11 all the way up to when I was in college, and I was just like, oh yeah, Reggie White, LT, you're cool. But then once I really understood the craft, I'm talking about Jared Allen, I'm talking about like other people, you know what I'm saying? So it's dope how that comes around. The next question I have, right? Because you're obviously by way of Tennessee, you know what I'm saying? But your career started. That was a major misconception going into the Verb battle. I'm glad you was able to clear up. But your career started in Kansas City, Missouri. So I personally consider you one of ours. You know what I'm saying? As a battler. From your perspective, right? Because I know you kind of came in late, right? They talk about the new Midwest. You know what I'm saying? With Fonz, with Truffaut, and those guys like that. Let's take it back before that, right? What made the Midwest movement so special in your mind or from your perspective?
Well, I really feel like, watching it before I started battle rapping, right? Sometimes you don't really get to see it because you're not a battle rapper and you don't understand, how much these guys got it out the mud. Like when you're watching it just from a fan standpoint, you're just like, oh, cool, Hitman's battling such and such in New York, or Verb's battling, Marv One in California or whatever. You know what I mean? There's once you start becoming a battle rapper and you realize like, we don't have home games. You know what I mean? Like we just don't. And some of that's our own fault for not cultivating stages and leagues and stuff like that in the Midwest to where we demand people to come here, because, if there's crowds and there's people to perform in front of, other people want to come, but it's like, these guys like Big T, like Marvin Quest, like Hitman, Verb, Young Ill, whatever, like they were always on the road. They were on the road by themselves, or they might be lucky enough to have one or two people, going out there with them or whatever. And like that warrior mentality, that like I got it out the mud, that like, we made a name for ourselves coming all the way to the East Coast, going all the way to the West Coast, going down to the South or whatever. It's really real. And I'm 90 battles in right now, and I have 5 battles that I've had in Kansas City. You know what I mean? Like, imagine, so that's literally like 7% of my catalog I've been able to perform in front of my family, friends, and people, that are in my city. And that's just never to be, you just don't realize, you don't realize, like, when you're on the East Coast, especially on the East Coast, like, you can roll out of bed and be at a battle event, and if you have a battle that weekend and you messed up, there's another battle league next week ready to give you the chance to make up for it, or another battle league the next week to give you a chance to jump on and fix that mistake. When you're in the Midwest, it's like, when I went out to battle Franchize in Toronto, I was like, I can't stumble, I can't choke, I can't do anything. I'm not going to spend more PTO, more money, more all of this stuff to be traveling around here trying to get on, You know, it'd be one thing if in Kansas City I can just say, all right, next week I'll try to go do it this, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it is, you know, not to be too long-winded, but it's that you got it out the mud. It's that, you know, that real life, like, you know, like we work hard for this. It's a warrior mentality, and we always on the road.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that because at the start of this channel, one of the first major projects I did was the best Midwest versus Midwest battles. So I feel like in terms of like those inter-region conflicts or battles, I feel like we have the best battles. Like Hitman and Verb, Marv and Quest, or excuse me, Marv and Verb. You know what I'm saying? You got Hitman and Cal. You know what I'm saying? You and Ill Will is in that conversation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we always have when it's Midwest versus Will and Cal is another one. When it's Midwest versus Midwest, we have the best battles. This is how I feel. You and Verb just proved.
Yeah, man. You know,
so,
outside of a couple guys, you don't really get a lot of those prima donna choke artists, you know, no show, you know, like those kind of guys, and that's because for the most part, these like. If I'm rocking with you and you in the Midwest, like I'm holding you accountable, you know, like this is not what we do. This is not how we look, you know. There's a couple people in every area that you know, all right, well, that's just a lost cause, or you know, they move how they want to move or whatever. But I do feel like, you know, when you talk about Calico, Ill Will, Mac Myron, Marv, Quest, you know, I even put Pittsburgh almost is in the Midwest, but if you look at the state of Pennsylvania, or whatever, Pittsburgh is kind of a Midwest type area as well. You know, Real Deal. You look at, you know, the Big Cannon, Young Cannon. These guys, they always show up to rap.
Yeah.
You know, whether you know, and so that's just really a statement to the work ethic that we put in.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned, right, the World Dom 6, because to me, you know what I'm saying, a historian, I know that you started with the Connects, you know what I'm saying, that was like league, which is why the Chef Trez battle was so important. We'll get to that later. But World Domination to a lot of people is like their first introduction to A.Ward. Can you talk a little bit about how the Franchize battle came about and, you know, just what your mindset was at that time when you were granted an opportunity?
Yeah, so, you know, some people know, you know, it's difficult we get so stuck in the social media world, you know, and we just assume everybody knows, you know, and it's like, oh, you follow me on Facebook or you follow me on Twitter or, you know, Instagram, and you know the story or whatever. But I had a couple battles here in Kansas City, and then after like my first 3 battles in Kansas City, I was offered a PG by URL. So they asked me to come out and do a PG against a guy named Justin Biggs from We Go Hard. He was like a 17-year-old kid that was, I guess, kind of like We Go Hard at the time was like one of those leagues that was really, really popping. You know what I mean? And so I was supposed to do that in May of 2016. And I ended up, in April of that year, ended up having shoulder surgery on my labrum and my rotator cuff. And I had to be in a big old sling and everything. So at this time, like Norbs, P, and some of the URL people, I even got called from Queen's Flip, and I got calls from a couple other people, and he was helping them at the time. And then Organic and Gully are all kind of in conversations with me, nothing like officially offered, but URL offered first, you know? And so I go and I canceled the URL battle because I wasn't going to do my PG in a big sling. Like I thought it would hurt my performance, and it just wasn't smart to be traveling like that. Like it was going to be like a couple weeks after surgery, you know, like to be traveling across the nation like that. So I canceled the URL battle. I told them I wanted to reschedule it. They never reached back out to me. During that time, I ended up, after the recovery, I battled St. Mike, which was probably my first like big, like, oh, this is a crazy performance. Who is this guy kind of moment, you know, before I got to King of the Dot. And when I battled St. Mike, you know, Gully reached out to me and said, hey, we want you on World Domination, King of the Dot, you know, Organic hit me up. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I don't got anything. They're not rescheduling this battle on URL, you know, like I haven't heard anything. Let's rock. I knew that I could be, it was going to be on a big card. Mind you, at this point in time, I've never been to a real battle rap event. I would say real, like I've been to the local events in Kansas City, but I've never met any of these guys I've been watching for 10, 12 years. You know what I mean? Like I don't know them. I just know them all online.
And
So I'm like, yeah, this is a great
by the way, too. You're talking about, I think it was Arsenal Shotty rematch. It was like a bunch of high profile people on this particular card. You know what I'm saying? So it's a huge deal.
Yes, and so I You know, so I'm like, wow, it's a 3-day event. I get to go out and enjoy the first 2 days. I'm the main event of the third day, you know, me and Franchize. And I'm like, yo, this is really, really dope. So I accepted it. And the day the flyer dropped, me and Franchize, World Domination, that's the first time I heard from you, Oriel, since I canceled the battle, you know? And so, you know, they were like, whoa, what the heck? You know, what's going on? I'm like, listen, you know, I ain't heard from y'all. You know, this is the move I'm making. So my mentality, like I said before, was like, hey, this is a tryout battle. You know, I had paid for my own flight. My passport was expired at the time. You know, so I had to renew my passport, had to pay for my own flight, had to pay for my own travel, my lodging, all that kind of stuff, you know? I'm like, yo, I'm going in it with like, you know, I'm locked in, you know, I got plenty of material, I'm ready to go. And I'm battling Franchize, who's from Toronto, you know, on day 3. You know, he has a real big following in beast mode. At the time, I didn't even realize how much of a family environment beast mode was. You know what I mean? I'm glad it didn't, because it probably would have psyched me out a little bit more. But like when we there on day 3, like it's heavy beast mode, you know, Franchize is our guy type mentality. So I go out there, I try out, I put on a crazy performance. You know, I put on a crazy performance. I earned the respect of a lot of people. And from day 1 and day 2, man, when I walked in, like Head Ice, Sirius Jones, Chilla Jones, these guys are like, yo, what's up? You're A.Ward, right? And I'm like, yo, what? Like, how do you know who I am? You know what I mean? And like, you know, these guys, they watch battles, you know, like they really do. You know, people would think you don't know who I am, but like they watch battles, they pay attention to the culture, you know, whether you know big leagues or not. So and then, you know, I really think I sold what I can do, my talent level, what I bring, my professionalism and everything to the King of the Dot staff. And, you know, they really took that and they put a lot of nice plates in front of me, you know, the next few events.
Yeah, and that kind of leads to my next question, right? Because it wouldn't be a stretch to say KOTD kind of molded you as a talent. Because yes, you had prior experience on the Connects, you had a few battles before then, but we're talking about they give you the world domination opportunity, right? They also put you on Gully versus Gannick twice. The first time against Real Deal, second time against Cortez. We'll get to that battle a little bit later. But they also give you the shot on Blackout against DNA, which that's a lot of people's first introduction to you, because Blackout was another huge staple when it comes to KOTD. But you also faced the likes of Ilmac, Sharon, and so many more people. What did you learn from being on the KOTD platform? I asked Shilla the same question, and he pretty much alluded to like just being more versatile, more well-rounded. Would you attribute that your well-roundedness to being on the KOTD platform as well?
I would say that, you know, one, like King of the Dot, like showed me what professional battle rap is, you know? That was really cool to me. You know, the minute I stepped the foot on the stage with Real Deal and this pay-per-view and it's the bright lights are on and everything, and you're like, oh wow, you know, I'm not just in a room full of, you know, a bunch of guys just rapping right now. Like this is professional. This is people are at home right now watching live, you know? I don't remember. Man, I'm pretty sure day 3 of World Domination wasn't live on pay-per-view. I think there was like maybe a VOD, but I think the first time that I was live on pay-per-view was the Real Deal battle. But yeah, it showed me what professional battle rap was. It showed me, you know, the DNA battle showed me a whole lot as far as main stage, big stage performances, you know, how to work the stage, how to, you know, just things you just didn't know as a young battler, you know, like you don't realize how running back your bars can affect a battle in a positive way. You know, if a haymaker hits and then you decide to take it back 4 bars and the crowd gets to say it with you, you know, and they get to say it in and it creates energy, it creates momentum, you know, it almost makes it seem like you had 2 haymakers hit, even though you said the same thing twice. But it gives that round full. There's a lot of like that moves I learned against DNA. But for the most part, yes. So in battling on King of the Dot, you know, I already was not necessarily like a gun bar, whatever type rapper. Like when I'm going into King of the Dot, like I have angles, I have different types of punches, sports bars, different references or whatever. But going into King of the Dot, you know, you had to find a way to entertain that crowd in a unique way, because they're a different type of crowd, you know? And as I continue to battle these guys and as I continue to see the success, I'm like, you know, the thing for me is going to always be, I want to be able to perform anywhere in the world and people enjoy it. I don't want to be one of these battlers that needs to perform it in this type of environment or in this type of region or against this type of battler, you know what I mean? For it to be enjoyable. And King of the Dot really kind of helped me build that with throwing me Real Deal, who's completely different from DNA, who's different from Cortez. Then you go to Poe Rich. Then you're a Peanut from California. Then you're, so many different styles, and say, yo, can Ward rock out rooms against these different types of styles in these different types of areas? I went to Toronto, I went to California, I went, to London. So
my rebuttal game is crazy.
Yeah,
I think that's one of like the same way that you have like Showtime, same way that you have like a bunch of different slogans. I think that is a slogan that you like kind of came organic. You know what I'm saying? Because like it's like you naturally have like the aptitude to be able to freestyle and rebuttal. But when do you feel like you mastered is a strong word, because I don't think there's no such thing as really mastering in battle rap, because it's always something you can kind of sharpen. But when do you feel like you had a great grasp over being able to freestyle? Like, when did you feel like, what time period did you feel like, okay, I can really use this as an asset, and I'm kind of in the proficiency level in freestyling?
Yeah, I always knew that I could freestyle. In my first few battles in Kansas City, I didn't do much of it. I had a rebuttal or two against St. Mike that was cool or whatever. But, first round against Franchize, I literally opened up the first round, tryout battle, like I told you, I'm locked in 3 rounds, memorized, like this is for all the marbles in my mind. I've spent thousands of dollars on the travel and everything. And I come out freestyling, and I freestyled the whole thing about his outfit or whatever. He had Franchize on the back of his hoodie, all this kind of stuff. And it's because I'm confident in my ability to freestyle. Now, I don't think, the rebuttal game, crazy and all that kind of stuff really popped off probably until
2018. Would you say 2018?
Yeah, probably 2018. Yeah. When I hit some of those the big rebuttals for the first time, and then the Ill Will battle like really solidified. Like, yo, this guy's probably one of the best in the world at this. You know what I mean? But I tell people all the time, the rebuttal game crazy thing started out as like a trolling thing, really, because Avocado, they do their watch battle lives, and shout out to them, they know how I feel about them. But every time they watch my battles, they just hate on me and like pick everything apart, and like all they want to do is talk about how, or whatever. That's exactly how I feel. They know it, and Avocado has said, man, I hate when a battler tells me like, hey, I'm about to rebuttal, like just rebuttal, like you don't have to make it known or whatever. So I think the first time I did it was against Peanut at the Disaster Oxymoron event. And I'm like, yo, my rebuttal game crazy. And I literally look out to the back and I was like, that's for you, Avocado. You know what I mean? Like that. And then I go into this thing. And but that's another learning point, is that battle rap is a lot about energy. I can sit here and tell you that Squirt has so many better bars in his rounds than his strapped in bar. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
But once he says I'm strapped in and the crowd's energy is there, whatever he's gonna say, boom,
Yeah.
Even A.Ward, sometimes his showtime is the best, but not always,
Mm-hmm.
And he says, so it's showtime, boom, you know what I mean? And so when you're battling guys where you need that kind of energy or whatever, you have to grab it somehow. And what's a better way to grab it? So your round's done. Well, watch this, y'all. And all I have to do is say my rebuttal game crazy, and the crowd is on the edge of their seat. Now the rebuttal needs to be good, or it's gonna be like, man, you're rebutting,
Right.
But in instances like the Rum Nitty battle where he's finishing his lines and I'm starting my next round
It's
out
for
with
Horsemen
his
to eat
lines.
for all the naysayers.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, boom. It's like it's all about energy. It's all about grabbing the energy and bringing it back and saying, no, this is a dog fight. I'm not gonna just let you talk to me like that.
Right.
Because a lot of times people's rounds start off and they build up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you get smoked, hitting, if you get punch, last thing you want is to have to wait 12 bars before you get to a haymaker,
Yeah.
So, that's kind of like, and since then with the rebuttals, like I know you say mastered, and I kind of agree with you, there's always room for improvement. But what I've done over the last 4 or 5 years is I'm not content with just a rebuttal, with just a punchline,
Right.
Like I'm trying to find different ways. You know, at this point now, I'm rebuttaling. I rebutted a whole round this year. You know, I did a rebuttal with QB where the crowd finished the rebuttal for me.
And your setups are elongated. Wait, real quick, your setups, which is the reason why myself and Jason Moore Reviews, shout out to Jason Moore Reviews, had you in our top 5 freestylers of all time, because it's not just being quick-witted enough to freestyle, but it's like having coherent setups, almost as if like it being so fluid with the setup, building into a haymaker as a freestyle is what makes it kind of crazy, because it's like it's almost seamless. It's like extremely seamless. Yeah,
that's a gift and a curse too. Now I won't sit here and say I've always had perfect setups or whatever, but I won't freestyle it if it doesn't sound good in my head, you know, or if it's just like the one syllable, you know. I'm not just gonna be like, oh, you said dog, well, jog, because you know what I mean. Like I gotta like, and so when you look at the rebuttal, like against Real Sick, you know, like pick up and cock it, the missing the dodge it, you know what I mean? Like we're talking about 4 or 5 syllables, and we're talking about like 5 different things that rhyme, you know what I mean? And so I'm always trying to like set myself apart from the guys who are just like, oh, you said such and such, well, I say such and such, you know? Right. Like, no, when you see my rebuttals, they're intricate. Against Rum Nitty, I was talking about things in his round in the setups, and then I rebutted on another punchline, you know? I'm including 3 or 4 different things he said during the round. You know, against Geechee Gotti, you got the immediate freestyle with the chair and stuff like that. Yeah, so I'm trying to do it all. I'm trying to do instantaneous freestyles. I'm trying to do mid-round. I'm trying to incorporate the crowd, all kinds of stuff. I want to make sure like that I'm separating myself as like, yo, it's not just he said, now how are you going to flip it type of rebuttal. Yeah.
Well, you kind of alluded to some of the things that the shots that you were being given on the KOTD platform. You kind of alluded to, you know, the rebuttal game crazy phenomenon happening in 2018. Now, I want to ask you, because I feel like 2018 was when you really started to pick up steam. What was so special about 2018? And then another funny thing that you mentioned was that Bill Collector was one of your favorites, and you actually faced him in 2018, and you probably had one of my favorite schemes of all time with the BC era. That was amazing. But what was so special about your 2018 year?
Yeah, I think what was the most special about 2018, if I remember this correctly, so I started in 2015, right? I had 2 battles in 2015 because I didn't start until September. So in 2015, I got 2 battles, September, and then a 1-rounder in December. 2016 rolls around, and I had, I think, the St. Mike battle, the Franchize battle, the Real Deal battle, and maybe, I think I did a 1-rounder on like 8 hours notice against Dakota Hussein. It was on AHAT. So, you know, I'm 4 battles in now. 2017 rolls around, and this is no diss to King of the Dot or anything like that. I battled DNA, don't get put on Massacre, and then I battled Peanut, and I only battled one guy in Oklahoma City named D-Lo that year. And I'm like 2-3 years in, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this 3 battles a year, waiting on events to happen, hoping I get picked, you know, out of the whatever to be on the events. Like, I shout out to King of the Dot. They had already given me Real Deal, DNA, Peanut or whatever, but I'm not just sitting around. Like, I'm about to make the moves myself, whether it's on this league, whether it's on that league. I'm still going to keep a fresh and open relationship with King of the Dot because they're putting me on, but I just didn't like sitting around, you know, watching all my peers battle. And so 2018 was special because that's when I kind of took my career in my own, you know, and that's when you get the Bill Collector battle. That's when you get the first Geechee Gotti battle. That's when you get, you know, I'm trying to think of who else I battled. And then you get probably, I want to say maybe at least 10 battles probably that year. I don't know.
You also still end up getting a good look with battling Cortez on the second, on the other Gully versus Gannick, which I have.
That's right. So I started
as well too.
I started that year with the the 4 battles in 60 days in 4 different countries. So, you know, I did Australia, I did London, I did Canada and America in the first part of that year in 4 battles. So that was a very special battle. That was when I really felt like, yo, you're a professional at this. You can make a living off of this, you know? Like, you're getting paid to go to Australia, London, Toronto, you know, all over the place to battle, you know, to battle rap. And that's why that year is special. And then obviously the Geechee Gotti battle, and then what happens after the Geechee Gotti battle, because Geechee Gotti's in the process of becoming the next star on URL. You know, And so, you know, the way that year ended up after that battle was kind of like, yo, he's here, you know?
Yeah.
This is not just there comes a point in time where you're like, we heard about you for a year or two, but, you know, there's a lot of y'all, you know, there's a lot of battle rappers. And it's like, nah, he's really here to stay. And so I took my career, you know, on my own as a freelance independent artist. And, you know, just like you said, the Bill Collector battle, the Geechee battle, those battles are the battles that stick out. The Cortez battle is a great battle too that year on King of the Dot. But those battles that we made happen on other leagues really stuck out.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned you don't want to watch your peers, you know, do all this stuff while you're just stationary. Because I had the privilege of interviewing Loso early 2022, and he was just talking about just the trajectory of everybody in the Four Horsemen at the time, right? The Saga was the first person to kick the door open, you know what I'm saying? You know, did UFF, did Rookies vs. Vets. 2017, I want to say he had some really good battles. I think he left NWX after battling Tink the Demon or whatever. So he started that initial press, right? Then you had Loso like blazing, you know what I'm saying, with the Bad News battle, the B-Dot battle in 2017.
Yep.
And you're watching them like ascend to a higher level. And then I think Loso said jokingly, like, hey, you need to step your game up. Yeah, if you want to be on these lists, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? I think he really took heed to that and had an amazing 2018 year. Because I kind of alluded to it. How do you think the Four Horsemen group keep you at the top of your game?
Yeah, man. It's way beyond like at the top of your game, because I think about at the top of my game in life rather than just in talent level, right, or professionalism. Like there's a lot of battle rap groups, and I don't want to pretend like I know that, you know, how close these guys are or whatever. But I can say to us, you know, like these are my brothers, you know, like these are really people that, you know, would be in my wedding, you know, would be, you know, like. Wow, you know, we would do life together. Like I know their parents, you know, like that kind of stuff. Like there's just a real brotherhood of these guys, you know. And so when you meet people that have not only they're doing battle, they're in battle rap together or whatever, but they have the same faith as you know, and they can identify with your struggles. They can identify with, yeah, I've been there. I remember, you know, the first time I was hot, and then next thing I know, I'm not hot anymore. Now I'm dealing with identity issues because I'm leaning on my talent more than I am on my faith, or, you know, stuff like that or whatever. Like, and you can like build with the guys who, you know, have that same mindset faith-wise and professionalism, and they just happen to also be some of the greatest writers, rappers, you know, punchline guys in battle rap. You know, it really is special, you know, and I'm just glad that, you know, that I got three guys, you know, three brothers like that, you know, I can go to for prayer. I can go to if I'm like, I need $20 for gas. I can go to if I'm like, I'm struggling in this area or whatever. And then I can also just support and watch be incredible at their craft, you know, at the same time. So they really are a blessing, man. They really are.
Yeah. And I just think that, and it's funny you mentioned that, because I said that all four of you guys, even though you guys have like things that kind of unite each other, you guys are just completely different prototypes in terms of battlers. I think of Hims as the more pin heavy person. I think Saga is the more performative person. I think he has like is very energetic. I think of you as more of like the well balanced person with the freestyling ability. Loso just knows how to win. He's like an angler, you know what I'm saying? The angler knows how to win, kind of like the brawler type, you know what I'm saying, situation. So it's kind of dope to see all these different type of styles come into a group, and all of you guys, you know what I'm saying, enjoy each other's company inside and outside of the ring. So that's amazing for sure.
Yeah, and like you said, like sometimes I'll be writing and I'm just like, man, like, yo, Street Hymns is so incredible. I tell people all the time, like the whole Crown Vic bar, the whole Slow Down bar, I derived it off of Street Hymns. He battled a guy like there was he was, I don't know, it was called Demon or something like that. It was on Westworld or on the West Coast or whatever. Street Hymns battled this guy, and he was like part of the Demon crew or whatever. You know. And Street Hymns had a segment in that battle, and I'm watching the battle as I'm preparing for Vixen, and he's telling the guy, he was like, you get a toe tag with a broke pad, with a throat pad, and he's doing like this delivery or whatever. And he was like, they always taught me to get rid of a demon, you got to go fast. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like in the Bible, they always taught me to get rid of a demon, you got to go fast. You know what I mean? And I was like, yo, that's so fire. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, dang, you know, I was like, I wonder if I could do something where you slow down the delivery. I was like, slowing down the delivery is very tough because you got to keep the crowd. no matter what you're saying, if you're rapping fast, the crowd's probably like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And so then I take this whole, I'm like, I want to slow down something one day. And then I'm battling Vixen and I'm like, the Crown Vic to slow down. Like, oh, but it's like, it's kind of like watching your peers, watching them be great and creative in different lanes or whatever, you know, can really like, you know, inspire your creativity to be that great and think outside the box like that.
Yeah. All right, but that was the first segment. We're going to shift into the second segment really quick. We're going to show some of your highlights in the earlier days of A.Ward, right? Then we're going to shift into some of the current stuff. So watch this clip really quick and we'll be right back.
Well, it's cool. Do me a favor. Look at your neighbor and tell him you're going to think it's fire when I said St. John Ruthless, the Exodus over there. If you need to go, bro, you not tight as me. You do numbers, but once the mic around my collar, forget promo. Find judges. When Isaiah bar, accent and all, A must be cooking G's. Mark my words, Corinthian. Y'all know exactly why they keep booking me. Unload, reload, switch the laundry. I got a different kind of wisdom instilled, the mission godly. So when I get the ice, the pen sticks to the goal. That's Sidney Crosby. I'm not. Now that last four ain't have a lot of punches y'all could relate to. But I did say goodies, level up in 1-2 step. The scheme could BC era. But I also mentioned Noah, the plagues, Lion's Den, and Cross the Sea. Things that happen in the BC era. And I mentioned City, Clean, Raw, and JC, rappers from BC eras. I know this freedom has been amazing, but your lifestyle isn't changing. You got 2 sons that ain't tall enough to slap a backboard. But every week they was touching the glass at visitations. Don't that piss you off? Shit!
And we are back. Thank you guys for watching that clip. My next question. I feel like the Chef Trez battle, to some extent, was somewhat of a homecoming game for you. And the reason why I say that is because we know the Connects is like we're your starter league. And I personally feel like by the time that you faced Chef Trez on the Connects in 2019, you were pretty much top tier. Like you were pretty much like reached that precipice, if not already broke through the ceiling of being top tier. So I want to ask you, how much did that Chef Trez battle mean to you at the end of that 2019 year?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was huge. You know, one is towards the end of the year, man. You know, at this point in time, 2019 is coming around and you're thinking like, hey, you know, end of the year is big for battle rap. You know, it's what they remember last when they go through all their rankings and everything like that. 2, it's my first time battling anybody of any kind of name, really, like in Kansas City, you know, somebody that could bring people out, you know, not just my name or whatever. And 3, like, I mean, Chef Trez is just incredibly talented, you know, and I was excited I had established myself at that point in the rebuttaling categories, and I was excited to continue that. So it was huge. The one thing I love about the Chef Trez battle is, you know, when you watch that battle, it's not a lot of home field advantage because our crowd loves like whoever, you know what I mean? Like it showed like a very Midwest crowd that was like, it wasn't like we're not going to react to, you know, to Chef Trez. They rocked with him heavy too, and it made for just a great back and forth, you know. You know, that venue that we performed at is shut down now. That was the last battle rap event there. And there's just a lot that goes into it, you know. Just having family, friends there, everybody there. Yeah, it was super exciting, man. Super exciting.
Yeah, I love the battle, man. I thought it was I thought you guys had great material, but also, come on now, we know we coming for the rebuttals. So Chef Trez had a crazy rebuttal. The Kansas close enough because he could confuse Kansas City with it. That was crazy. You had this
crazy
Scorpion rebuttal. You know what I'm saying? Just an amazing battle. Then you close it out with your third round with it's a lot of you, but it's a lot of me. Like that whole sequence. Yeah, I love that battle. I had that in your top 3 best performances of all time, by the way. Really loved that battle. So
thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
The next question
for a small league, I want to shout out the Connects, man. Yeah. For a small league, flyer-wise, visual-wise, and everything, they really do a good job of how they shoot the battles, how they promote the battles, you know, just a branding standpoint or whatever. And that's the one thing I love about the Connects, you know, is just knowing that, like, when people are coming out or when footage is going to come out, it's going to come out crispy. It's going to look good, you know, and you don't get that a lot of times with we're talking about the ground floor small leagues. You know what I mean? We're not talking about just like, the leagues that are smaller than URL, RBE, King of the Dot. This is your real local small league, and they do the professionalism, they do it justice. And guys like Avocado and JB from URL, like they're all the time, they'll shout out like the connects, like on how well they handle that part of it. So shout out to them.
Yeah, for sure. The next question I have, right? If I'm not mistaken, your RBE debut was against Danny Myers.
Right, yeah.
Right before the pandemic happened. And I feel like this is where you kind of became, because not to say that you were kind of just the KOTD guy, right? Because you then would travel everywhere, but like you got pretty much the reputation of being like one of the pretty much perennial guys on KOTD, right? Then you kind of start to go on RBE, where you kind of open the floodgates in like the RBE plates and stuff like that. I wanted to ask you, how did the Danny Myers battle come about in terms of like that being your RBE debut, and how did you have to adjust to being on the RBE platform, if you feel like you even had to at all?
Yeah, I didn't feel like I really had to. I'd already, at this time, I already battled, if I'm not mistaken, Geechee, Bill Collector, Chef Trez, a lot of these guys, in a lot of different types of environments. Danny Myers is just a different monster in himself, like that's really the big thing. And when ARP had reached out to me, about that battle, that's the battle that you want, and the one thing I've always been big on is when a league wants to work with me, reach out and believe that I'm an asset to you as you could be an asset to me. And when King of the Dot saw me against Franchize, they said, yo, we can be an asset to you. You could be an asset to us. And they put DNA, Real Deal, Cortez, these guys in front of me, because they understood that it is a partnership, And so when ARP reaches out to me and he says, hey, here's the bag amount. Here's Danny Myers. Hey, here's O-Red. Hey, here's, these names or whatever. It's because he realizes that I could bring something to his event, just as much as he can bring, new eyes in his platform to mine. And so I didn't necessarily think that I had to, switch too much up. But I definitely knew that, like, this is a big event. This is RBE. It's another different platform. It's a chance to show, that you can perform at the highest level on the biggest and best platforms in the world, And Danny Myers, honestly, I really liked my performance, and I liked Danny's performance. But it came right after the Sharon and Chef Trez 4-round, insane battle.
Bro, that's a hard act to follow. That's like,
and I tell people all the time, you could be the best in the world, but there's different things that you can't control that can affect your battle. You could rap all your bars or whatever, but it could be a tired crowd. It could be when you go. It could be a sound. It could be my material versus Shotgun Suge. I love it, but the way it was shot, we're up on this weird balcony, the visual, it just took away from, there's a lot of things you can't control. So when you get a special battle, a special moment, a special everything that comes together, a great crowd, it's very, very special, And with the Danny battle, there was a lot of things, that I thought, and so that's the one battle where I'm like, man, here we are 3-4 years later. I'm like, I don't know about a rematch, but I'm just saying that's a battle that you would expect to, A.Ward and Danny Myers, this is going to be crazy. And I don't necessarily know that it lived up to that because of some other things.
It's such a weird time, and it right before the pandemic too, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was the payback card.
It was the same day as Genesis as well. There's a lot of battle rap going on. There's people... People were leaving the RBE event to go over there, not disrespectfully, but just because RBE had been going on for a long time. They saw, so there was a lot of people that were like, maybe they didn't want to watch Ill Will, 40 Cal, whatever it may be, but they're like, oh, hey, I'm gonna come start here. I'm gonna end up over there. So there was a lot of stuff going on at that event.
Yeah, that was such a weird time. It is like literally a week or and a half later, boom, the pandemic. That was a crazy time. Crazy time.
Yep, it really was.
Yeah. Now I want to shift gears further into your tenure with RBE a little bit, because you mentioned O-Red battle, which again you had the reverse punch sequence that was amazing too. But the battle for me that you kind of mentioned earlier was the Ill Will battle. To me, you and Ill Will stole the show on the first Max album. I feel like there's no better way to say it. I feel like everybody knew. It's one of those cards where like it may not be the first thing you put on the flyer, but it's for sure a ticket seller. When people saw you and Will on the flyer, they're like, oh yeah, no, this is the one. Like you have the one that's going to be at the top of the card, but then you have the one
Yeah.
that you really stick around for because you know it's probably going to be the best battle on the card. And I feel like you guys lived up to the hype. How did you feel getting off the stage after that A.Ward battle? I felt like it was fireworks. It was a great back and forth. You had one of the best wheels you can get. You had one of the best A.Wards you can get. How did you feel walking off the stage after that?
Man, first let me tell you how I felt going into it. I mean, I text my friends like, hey, I just signed my death certificate. Like I'm battling Ill Will on a big stage, you know, in Atlanta on RBE. Like I'm battling quote unquote the king of RBE. I just 2 years prior watched him embarrass T-Top on a big stage on Noane, you know, on URL. We all know Ill Will's charisma and everything is just, you know, so like I signed a contract for this, like, don't die. You know what I mean? Like very confident in what I do, but I hadn't been on a stage like that yet. Like I've been on different big stages, you know, don't get it twisted. You know, I've been in front of maybe, you know, close to 1,000 people in King of the Dot against DNA, maybe close to 1,000 against Peanut, whenever like 800 of them were Russian oxymoron fans. You know, like I've been on different stages and different situations, but I knew that this one with Hitman battling, you know, it was Cassidy. It was different. You know what I mean? Like it was going to be a magnified version of what I've been on before. You know, so obviously the battle happens, and man, like at some point in time, you know, it's all just kind of like you black out and you rap. You know what I mean? And you do like. I don't mean to be like rude, but like if you play defensive end, you know that there's a natural God-given talent at the time. Like the snap happens, and hey, the swim moves there, the inside spins there. Like I'm making plays because I was born to do this. I put in the work to do this. You know, I'm not up here thinking like, oh, I have to do. No, it happens. Boom. And so when I'm up there, I'm like, yo, I'm a natural born rapper, writer, rebuttaler, entertainer. Like I can do all of this. I'm not up here faking it. I'm not up here trying to earn anything like that. Like this is what I do at a high level. And you know, after I think he went first.
He went first. Threading the cameraman.
He was freestyling or whatever.
Right.
And then, you know, like, and then I'm like, all right, Ward, turn up, you know? So I start my round out kind of the same way, you know what I mean? Like that. And even Will tell you, he's like, man, when I looked over and you was over there talking to the camera, he's like, I just knew. He's like, this is going to be one of them ones, you know? Right. And yeah, so then, you know, man, just talk about in your Duffy for the rebuttals in that battle. You know, probably 3 of my top 10 rebuttals of all time.
The Sean
Watson, the Claymore, more Clay, you know,
the win,
like the win, all kinds of, and so I'm just, man, so yeah, getting off that stage, man, it's every time I battle, you know, the adrenaline and everything, I get back to the hotel, like I got a flight at 6 a.m., but I can't sleep till 5 because I'm still like coming off of all of the, you know, because it's just, I'm blessed to be able to perform, but getting off that stage, knowing that like we just put on a crazy battle and I dropped the building multiple times in front of, you know, all of these people that wanted to come and see a good show, you know, and gave them their money's worth, man. There's no better feeling really. And so it was just, man, like sometimes you put a lot of pressure on yourself. You know, you ask yourself, you know, I've been doing this now. I started in 2015, so this will be my ninth year, I guess. And every year I'm like, dang, am I good anymore? Like, can I do better than Glock 40? Can I figure something out? You know what I mean? And then once the battle's over and you put on another performance like that, after for 6 weeks, you've been kind of like sometimes doubting yourself. It's a sigh of relief, and it's just like, hey, man, like God got me and he gave me this talent, and I'm really, really good at it. You know, like I'm not just gonna stop being good at it.
No, because I just thought about how I thought you got your just due 2018, right? 2019, you gave you more plates, and then 2020 they start putting you in the conversation of being top 20, top 10 consistently. You know what I'm saying? But by the time you hit after the A.Ward battle, right? RBE's biggest event of their entire existence, right? And you have that type of performance. Then they start putting you in a different type of bubble, like the best in the world bubble. And I feel like 2021 to me was one of your best years. And it's also one of your more star-studded years. Now this is kind of where we flip the switch. a lot of people have said that 2023 is one of your toughest years because of the switching names and stuff like that. But I like to remind the people, and I was caught up in it too. Because sometimes you get caught up in recency bias. I like to remind the people that in 2021, your resume consisted of Ill Will, Arsenal, Clips in the one rounder. I think Arsenal was a one rounder too. Shotgun Suge, Geechee Gotti for the rematch in his backyard. This year consists of Big K, A.Ward, Frag, Charlie Clips in the 3-round battle, and Real Sick. If we're being quite honest, it's not that much different than 2021. Now, who you may have winning in this year may be different. They may have like a different perception behind it. But it's funny that like a lot of the dialogue that you're hearing now is that like Ward's taking a lot more big battles. You know what I'm saying? You should slow down and stuff like that. What is your response to that? Because I feel like the knack that you're getting, have been getting over the years, is that you don't take enough big battles, or a lot of the battles that you're taking are smaller leagues. Not that much of a risk there and stuff like that. But I'm also remembering the fact that you battled Geechee Gotti in his backyard. You battled Ill Will on a big stage. You know what I'm saying? You battled, you know what I'm saying, plenty of big juggernaut people on the other platforms. So what is your response to people saying that like this year is one of your first years really getting roughed up by the top guys?
Yeah, 2021 was the last year that like I don't have to prove anything in battle rap anymore. I firmly believe that. That big stage performance against Ill Will might have been going into that, I still feel like I didn't have much to prove, but I did want to prove to myself that I could rock a stage of 2,500 people against one of the best, you know what I mean? And so that was something I hadn't really done at the highest level yet. So that after that Ill Will battle, I'm just like, I'm like you said, like I'm one of the best in the world, regardless of what it is, regardless of what stage, where it is, you know, because I always got hit with you haven't done it on URL, all of this kind of craziness. So I battled against, like you said, everybody in their backyard. I've had my back against the wall. I'm battling Geechee Gotti in Compton. I'm battling Ill Will on the big stage. I'm battling Bill Collector in Philly. I'm battling, like I said, Franchize in Toronto. Even Sharon in London. He's not from London, but dang, Sharon's an international star, like on King of the Dot. And all of that's good. So what it is, though, is that year that you're talking about, Clips, ours. I actually think that year I had, is that the year? No, that might have been 2022. I'm trying to think what Nestle and Riggs were. They might have been 2022.
No, Riggs was in 2021. I think that was to start off your year. That was around the time, like, because you had, because I was on the panel that year. I had to do a lot of studying. You had the Kid Clutch. You had Arsenal. You had Charlie Clips, Ill Will. So you had a fair share of small league stuff, but you also had some big names in there too.
So I think what it is mostly is like people never want it, like. If you want to discredit me, you're going to find a way to discredit me, period. That's how battle rap is. It's so subjective that if inside you want to be able to say, I would like to not put him as high as what other people have him, you'll find that thing. Whether it be, he battled these guys, but they're all smaller leagues. They didn't care about it. Or, he battled them, they're only one-rounders. Or, he battled them, but I got him losing that battle. Or, there's so many different ways to look at it and say, I'm gonna discredit you because I just don't think you're as good as these other people. And that's just what we do in battle rap, So when you look at my year this year, what happened was, this is a very, very unique year for me. One, because two of the most vocal and most followed media entities in battle rap that control a lot of, the media side of it are huge A.Ward haters. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about Black Compass Media and A.Ward. So you start the year off and you have a loss against Big K. And man, you would have thought that, like, when I jumped on Twitter, you would have thought like Mike Tyson in his prime just got knocked out by somebody, And so in the whole world, I'm talking people I never spoke to in my entire life or on Twitter, like, A.Ward, A.Ward, they were just waiting for me to lose like that. Which is crazy because I didn't even get that when the Ilmac battle, and people had me clearly losing that. But when it was finally like a RBE battle, it was like, boom. So this year, you got the Big K battle, you got Vixen, you got Clips Verb, you got Frank, you got Real Sick. Big K, Vixen, Clips, Verb, Frack, Real Sick.
Emerson Kennedy as well.
Yeah, but you got those 6 battles are on leagues with GTX, King of the Dot, RBE, Chrome, are on the leagues that you consider to be the high leagues. You know, in that year against with Ill Will and Clips and Arsenal, you got 2 or 3 on like RBE, but you don't. Everything else is kind of on another league. You know, and so but this year since the Big K battle, it's been honestly the way I've looked at it has been a lot of entities trying to prove to the world that I'm not good. You know, I'm not any good. And a lot of it with the A.Ward battle was for the battle. But you got to remember, like, leading up to the A.Ward battle, I battled Frack, 2 weeks before him. And, like, they had a whole powwow in the spaces to watch Frack apparently utterly destroy me. You know what I mean? Like, there's a whole, like, narrative and following to say, oh, he's getting killed. I told you he wasn't this. I told you he wasn't that. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of how my year has been with battling on these high level platforms. So instead of people saying this year, A.Ward has the top 2 moments of the year. A.Ward has possibly the biggest body of the year with the Vixen battle. A.Ward has 2 of the top 10 battles of the year with Real Sick and with A.Ward. You know, A.Ward has still probably the best rebuttals of the year. You know what I mean? Like, you could look at it and be like, content, impact, all this other stuff. This is one of my best years. But somebody that wants to discredit you, somebody wants to say, oh, now this year is different. This is your da-da-da-da-da. You know, they're going to find ways. Well, I got him losing to Real Sick. I got him losing to Frack. I got him losing to Big K. He's having a bad year. See what happens when he actually battles people? Like, you can look at it 2 different ways, you know? So, but I do think that every year has prepared me for a year like this. I think that this year has been I would say it's just as difficult as 2021, but the reason for the difficulty this year was the reschedule from the Clips battle really made me have to, I had to battle 4 high profile people in less than 60 days. You know, I had to battle Frack, Verb, Clips, and Real Sick, all in 60 days, all 3-round battles, you know, all high profile, high leagues. And that difficulty this year made it tougher, in my opinion, than what 2021 was, where sometimes I would battle, the Kid Clutch, and then the next week, I would get Ill Will, but then the next week I would have maybe a smaller battle or whatever.
Like Excel and Will kind of back to back. I remember that sequence,
Yeah. So this year though, I only did 12 battles, I believe.
Yeah.
Last year I did 18, and in 2021 I did 23. So you're talking about workload is drastically went down, but a lot of people say he's taking too many battles because those 4 big battles towards the end of the year were all 2 weeks apart.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, you can look at it 2 different ways. You can look at it and say, I got him losing to Frack, or I got him losing to Real Sick. Or you can look at it and say, bro, you realize that he just put even if he lost, like crazy performance, great material on, like, in 4 battles in 8 weeks
against one of the best Real Six of his career, you know what I'm saying, against one of the best big Ks we've seen in years, against, you know what I'm saying. So I get what you're saying. I kind of see
best Verb, best Frack. I mean, you might say this Frack versus Socon. He was really good versus Socon. I don't know if he but I'm taking everybody's A plus performance, and so but that just comes with the territory, you know what I mean? Like I make a full living off of this, and I get paid very well, and I love traveling, and I benefit from it highly. It's just that those battle rap lists, man, they're just so like how you want to look at it, They really are. Like you want to give more credit to somebody who wins a terrible battle on URL, or do you want to give credit to somebody who might have lost an incredible battle on King of the Dot.
Now we're going to get into the second to last segment. This is called the Rapper's Pentagon segment. I'm going to ask you 5 questions pertaining to top 5 situations, or just 5 of something. As one of the best freestylers, right, excluding yourself, who would you have in your top 5 best freestylers in the culture?
Clips, Hollow, DNA, Chef Trez, and Sharon.
That's that sounds about right. I get, you know what I'm saying.
I think Big Cannon is very good, but he's just not as actively freestyling as those guys. Okay. And Danny Myers is up there too. I don't know. Danny Myers might have cracked that top 5, and because Hollow doesn't battle and freestyle as much, like currently.
Right.
But like as far as like all time, you know, I think those 5 are pretty, you know, solid there.
Yeah, especially Sharon. And shout out to Sharon for having a major battle on Flip Top, you know what I'm saying?
Man.
Cracked millions and millions of views over a day span. Sharon is one of the best freestylers ever to do it too, so shout out to Sharon as well too. Okay, now we're getting to your personal favorite rebuttals that you ever did in your career. Name 5 of your favorite rebuttals you did in your career.
Oh, wow. Let's see. I think the Deshaun Watson rebuttal is definitely top 5 for me. When we talk about the setups, God crossed them, whole team passed like John Stockton, you know, like just the multis and everything. There's a punchline in the setup or whatever, and then the delivery of you a suit about 14. You know, just little things like that. Not finishing the 14th and then going to Deshaun Watson. You know, like some of those little intricate parts like that. That's up there. I really love the QB rebuttal. I love the QB rebuttal, you know, to keep my wife's name. You know, and I just, because I set it up and I emphasized the multis so heavily in a setup that I wanted the crowd to say it, because I wasn't going to cuss, you know what I mean? And so, like, dumping out something, you know, nothing about. You mentioned Will Smith, nothing now. But keep my wife. And then the minute I'm there, the crowd's already, you know, following the cadence and everything so they can finish it for me. That's just, to me, that's just a genius side of a rebuttal, you know? Let's see. Man, I love the Rum Nitty rebuttal, but there's this little slight, like,
this
word
fumble. You gotta I know you're talking about.
It drives me freaking nuts every time.
It was great.
It drives me nuts every time I watch it. As to why there's no reason for it. Like, I knew everything I was gonna say, you know, just horse fitting it, you know what I mean? But I think people would put that up there. Man, what have I done this year? Jeez.
The Logic one might have to go in there for me. I'm sorry. That whole sequence was crazy.
The Logic one.
That one has to go in there for me. Yeah.
Christian the prophet, this is some nonsense. You be telling me follow God. I be on the other side like I listen to Gothic. I can pick up and cock it. He said, don't shoot real sick. Bow! I guess I don't really listen to Logic.
Yeah. So when I was talking earlier about the you said this, I said this, like the bar that hit crazy with clips was, you know, you turn Rosenberg Raw to a podcaster. I put Vixen on OnlyFans.
That was crazy too.
Yeah, that was a layup. You know, that's a layup rebuttaler. That's a like you said this, I said this, but it was so powerful. Let's see, man. I know there's a lot more. I forget so many of them. One low key one that I really love, and I don't know why. Is in the Chef Trez battle, he said I put A on a shirt like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah.
And then I freestyled like and broke, and I was like, you know, ain't nobody grieving, Lord. After all, you're the one that they adore. Yeah. You know, like, and I kind of like that when man, I know I'm missing a whole bunch because there's so many good ones, and I remember every time I'm like, yo, this might have been my best rebuttal ever. Yo, this might have been my best rebuttal ever. But yeah, man, I would definitely say Deshaun Watson, QB, keep my wife's name out your mouth, listen to Logic, what else? Any O-Red,
You didn't have, I was say, I think you had one against, that was A.Ward too, but the Clay more Clay, I love that one.
Yeah.
That's the Lord's Day. Yeah. The whole build-up in that was crazy too.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Wait.
We're missing a big one.
Homeschool. The Heisman one.
Yeah,
That's
that was
rebuttal,
crazy.
but it was a freestyle. I love that. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. No, actually, it was a rebuttal because he said I lean A.Ward like the Heisman
Trophy.
Trophy.
It was a rebuttal, right. But it's just but he won the Heisman. That was crazy. That was
Yeah, I mean, if you watch some of the smaller battles, you know what I mean, like conflicts this year, like the whole his dog running away and like the 6 rings and stuff. Yeah. Like there's just a lot of stuff that I really got crazy on. But yeah, I mean, I had to sit down and look at it. But yeah, I've been blessed. To really hit like a lot of really good rebuttals in my career, man.
Yeah. Next question. 5 of the hardest opponents you stood in front of. And when I say hardest opponents, I'm saying like because like on paper, right, you're probably like, oh man, this guy's gonna be tough, and then you go into the battle, and then you end up getting the better of the battle. But I'm saying like in that particular moment, you're like, oh, this is a fight. Like this is this is gonna be a lot harder than I thought. Like name 5 of those opponents you felt like were the hardest opponents you stood in front of.
Yeah, that's Real Deal, Ill Will, Rum Nitty, Big K, and who's another one? Ilmac.
Okay.
So Real Deal, Ill Will, Ilmac, Rum Nitty, and Big K. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
all for different reasons, but you know, Nitty and Big K had rounds. They're the only battlers that I've ever stood in front of a round and said, I don't think I could beat this round with what I got. You know, and it's both of their first rounds. Like both of them just came out like, you know, like they hated me. Like why, what did I do to you? You know what I mean? Like let me rap my best round I've ever rapped in my life against A.Ward. You know, those are the only 2 times I've ever stood in front of a round and be like, you know, and like even contemplated switch. I don't think I've ever really switched my rounds around. I've never, like some battlers will do that. They'll be like, yo, this round, I ain't got nothing for it. So I'm gonna use my other round and then put this one here so that I can try to win 2-1 or whatever. Like those are the 2 guys that like, I'm like contemplating like using a weaker round because I'm like, even my strongest round is not gonna beat this round. Man, Real Deal was my introduction to like, oh, battlers really like can beat you. You know what I mean? Like I didn't feel that way against, you know, anybody else leading up into Real Deal, you know? And he said to this day, some of the best bars I've ever heard. You know, you took my style and you holy watered it down. You know, we're the 92 Dream Team. You're the white Christian here to carry our bags.
This sports bar bag is crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Sports bars, he's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
we're talking about 2017, you know, I was just whole time I'm praying for one bar, like a side 6 pregnancy test. Like he was punching off, like he was just doing so much. And then Ilmac, Ilmac and the guys like Ilmac and Frack, which I don't duck no competition, right? But the guys like Ilmac, like Frack, like Dunch, like this is a lot of guys like their whole goal is to just continue to assassinate and break down everything you've ever done and every stupid thing that you've ever said, or if you've said something that might be stupid, make it look stupid and fine. You know what I mean? Like, and battling those guys can be tiresome because I don't do that. I'm not watching you. I don't care. You know, I'm going in to entertain the crowd, name flips, punchlines, different cadences or whatever. But battling those guys, and Ilmac is one of the best ever at it. You know what I mean? It is just like, it's just always 3 rounds of just, you know, oh, I got to hear about all of this. You know what I mean? So that it presents a tough matchup, you know, and stylistically when it comes to guys like that. And so Ilmac was definitely, and he's just such a great writer, rhymer, and everything, you know. But yeah, I would say those 5 definitely, and then obviously Ill Will for reasons we already talked about. So
you mentioned this guy, so you know what I'm saying, I think Real Deal is one of the best when it comes to sports. Real Deal, O-Red, and I would throw Surf in there, obviously, and then yourself in there in terms of like the best when it comes to sports bars. But name 5 of your favorite sports bars that you did. I'm already thinking about The Car Won't Start, like the Oakland Raiders. I'm already thinking about Cooking Cousins, like the Vikings backfield against Geechee. But name some of your personal favorites, 5 of your personal favorites that you made.
Yeah, you know, those obviously, I'm chasing after a dream in front of the best, like Sam Bowie, you know, in the verb battle. Probably if not my favorite sports bar against Reed Dollars was, you know, like, I basically said something to the extent like, go ahead, you know, I was like, I've already counter wrote for how you grip the twins and set the sins or something like that. You know, that I said after QB, when they gave me the read option, I knew I had to have my eyes on the defensive end. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of guys who reference sports bars, right?
Those are like very like the minute stuff that
And that's why when I write sports bars, I'm just like, yo, it's different than just saying, you know, I mean, I got hit with the Wardell Stephen Curry bar so many times, right? Like I think it's probably 5 times. I think O-Red might have been the first one to say it to me, which, you know, he's a sports bar guy, but it's different if you're just name dropping like, oh, this is like Jordan and you got a scheme or whatever. But when I like say sports bar king, it's because I really, you know, I put a lot into you know, I watch sports a whole lot, you know.
Didn't you have a bar about O-Red said leave the O in the middle to feel like the Oregon Ducks or something? Crazy.
And that whole round we had sports bars, man. What I said something like you didn't know O was in it, like Jim Boeheim or something like that. Because when you you know, just like so like I think that's why when I call myself a sports bar king, it's more so I don't just take the low-hanging fruit of like, you know, Patrick Mahomes or, you know, somebody who's hot at the time, you know, like I'm really just kind of diving into that. I'm trying to think, you know, against Aqua, I just did a whole sports bar scheme in my second round, you know, because he calls himself a dual threat quarterback. He like that's like his slogan. I'm a dual threat quarterback. Like I get in and out of pockets. So I did a scheme. I'm like, yo, I don't know if you remember the Rum Nitty alien type when I was like, we're gonna find out what alien you are, you know?
Crazy.
So against Alpha, I was like, well, you dual threat quarterback, well, we're gonna find out which one, you know? And so I had a line that I loved because he changed his name from opportunistic to Alpha. That's his name now or whatever. You know, and I basically said, is he Josh Dobbs? Because we finding out he's better off in the space than in the big games.
Right.
You know, I said, but no, he went from alpha to opportunistic. Maybe he Cordell Stewart with how he slashed a nickname. You know, and like
slash your nickname.
So like I really like lines like that. It just kind of I saw a meme and it's so true. Like when me and my guy friends get together and we're like watching the games or whatever, like we'll just sit there and we'll just be like, yo, man, do you remember Ryan Mallett? Like that dude could throw a football through a brick wall. Like, yo, what happened with it? Like you just sit there and you just bring up like old football players and basketball players that like you thought was gonna be like, oh dog, you remember Derek Coleman? Like, you know, like just crazy, you know, that's all we do is sit there and talk.
I thought he was gonna be the craziest edge rusher.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, played in Missouri with the 49ers, got in trouble, you know, like so you know, and that's why I just like I like writing bars that kind of like somebody like you bring up a name, you be like, dang, I forgot Cordell Stewart. They just called him Slash. Like he was, you know, but yeah, there was a bar somebody said to me. What was it? It might have been. Dang, man, I'm trying to think of what it was. But it was basically like a Ward flip, and it was off Hines Ward when he's running in the Dark Knight. You remember when the field's like crumbling?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot who said it, but that was a crazy bar too. Yeah, I know.
And I was just like, yo, that's fire, you know.
Yeah. Last question, to the top 5 before we get to the last segment. Excluding yourself once again, right? Because I consider you one of our own, right? Top 5 battlers out of the Midwest. I know it's going to be hard. I know you don't want to slight nobody, but I like putting people
all time or currently.
All time. Let's do all time. I want to encompass the overall thing. So let's do all time.
Yeah, if we're doing all time, I got Verb and Hitman. I got Calico. Verb, Hitman, Calico. Who am I going after that? All right, Hitman, Calico. I feel like I'm missing somebody.
JC.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly what I was missing. I'm gonna go Verb, Hitman, Calico, JC, and then if I have to go just solo career, then I'll probably go B Magic. But if I can't, I want to put Marvin Quest. I think Marvin Quest are for the like as a 2-on-2 would have done.
This is how tricky it gets because you still got Ill Will. You still got Big T, who had like kind of Big T and B Magic are very like similar to me because they both had runs, but then obviously it kind of edged down towards it.
The tough thing with B Magic is I feel like at one time B Magic was the best battler in the world, and I feel like B Magic is the top 3 punchers of all time. Yeah. So whereas Big T, unique style, everything like that, I never, even though he's a legend or whatever, and I rock with Big T heavy, I never felt like he actually from a solo career got there. Ill Will, however, is there now. You know what I mean? Like, I think Ill Will is like, you could argue is the best battler in the world, you know, for the last 2 years. So it would be, it's tough. It's tough with just 5 spots because I lean towards the pioneers when we're going all time because you just can't you can't go back and rewrite history. I mean, like Verb, Hitman, you know, Calico, JC, these guys paved the lane.
In the same way that you talk about B Magic at one point in time being the best battler in the world, you kind of make that slight argument for Young Ill for like maybe 2011 to 12, that little year stretch. He was in that conversation with the best of the big three or whatever. I like the Verb, Hitman, and Calico just because they stayed active. You know what I mean? Like, and that's big to me. You know, now B Magic stayed active. He had like a hiccup for, you know, some time where you could just tell he kind of fell out of love, but he was still battling, but he wasn't doing very good. You know what I mean? Big T's kind of right there right now. You know, and it's just kind of like he's actively battling, but we're just kind of like, hey man, like if you don't love it, you know, like we don't want to see you like this. You know, and shout out to Big T. I ride with him heavy. But yeah, like. Those four, and then like what Marvin Quest have done for 2-on-2 battle rap, and just like not even just that, but like for battle rap, period. You know what I mean? Like they're just like, I mean, they're just such a pillar of professionalism and just like what it means to come from every era of battle rap, from the freestyles to the written grind time multi-format to the, you know, URL, you know, main stage against Steams and Chess, to app battles, to that, you know what I mean? They've literally been professionally like at the top of their game, you know, the entire time. Now we're going to get into the flower segment. This is what I appreciate, just because it gives us an opportunity to acknowledge what the battlers accomplished and also just kind of put it on paper what they accomplished. Because a lot of times, as someone who is matriculating through the battle rap culture, right, like, you know, you accomplish a lot, but you don't really know to the extent. You know what I'm saying? So just to start off, we talk about A.Ward, we're talking about 4 Cody appearances. We're talking about a guy that won Battle of the Year honors with Romnitty in 2022, a guy that made the top 50 BET list, has 2 blackout appearances, 3 max out appearances, one of the best max out battles of all time with A.Verb and also Ill Will, top 5 freestyler of all time, has 90 battles across 8 years, averaging 11 battles per year. 2019 KOTD battler of all time, and your resume includes 10 people that are in that BET top 5 list. But to list it all out, your resume includes DNA, Chef Trez, Real Deal, Ilmac, Sharon, O-Red, Ichigati, Cortez, Rosenberg, Bill Collector, Romnitty, A.Verb, Big K, Real Sick, Danny Myers, Vixen, Reed Dallas, and Soul Kano iBattle. With all these things accomplished, right? And you still have plenty more to accomplish. There's a bunch of other battlers that you still have to see. I can guarantee there's at least 4 or 5 more years of great work coming out of you. What are some things that you want to accomplish before it's all said and done?
Yeah, you know, there's still some unfinished business, you know, bucket list type things that I have. You know, I mentioned that my favorite battle rappers were Bill Collector, Lux, and Hollow, you know, and I've only battled one of them. So adding another one of those to my resume is something that I would really love to do here in the next couple years. Outside of that, you know, I don't shy away from the fact that battling on URL is a bucket list thing, you know. So, you know, hopefully at some point in time we can get to the point to where, you know, that happens. And I'm able to grace that stage. They are what they are for battle rap, and I'm aware of that. I still would love to see more of the world. You know, I've been reached out to from leagues in Ireland, South Africa, New Zealand, Germany, the Philippines. You know, and there's plenty of countries out there, you know, that would be really, really dope to be able to go out there and perform, and to let them know that God is good, just as I do, you know, in every battle. And then, man, just to continue to build relationships with my peers, make great friends, and just, you know, make great memories. Like these are the times, you know, you're talking about a decade of your life. You're talking about basically my whole 30s, you know, and that's the time when, you know, you're having a lot of the most fun that you are able to have as a human, you know. And I want to be able to, you know, perform at a high level, entertain, continue to encourage and inspire. You know, my third round was sick when I talk about mental health and stuff like that, and people reaching out saying, like, Ward, like, this is why I watch battle rap. This is, you know, to be able to continue to do that is the most important thing. So I got those bucket lists, the stages and battlers and different things that I want to do. But for the most part, like, I just want to always continue to be one of the easiest battle rappers that league owners have ever had to deal with. One of the most professional, and one of the most, you know, one of the guys that like always gives you your money's worth, you know, and keep doing that at a high level for the next 5 years.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for watching this interview, and thank you for gracing the channel, A.Ward. I'm pretty sure you're gonna have another amazing year in 2024. Is there anything you want to plug really quick about any developments coming up this year?
You know, we got 4 announced battles so far. We got Gwitty here in Kansas City, so this will be my first, another pretty decent sized matchup in Kansas City since that Chef Trez battle. So we got Gwitty. After that, we got 100 Bullets in Canada, in Ottawa. And then we have me and Loso versus Mac and Clean Paper in Pontiac at the end of February. And then just announced yesterday, me versus Bonnie Godiva on Queen of the Ring to start out March. So there's 4 matchups, with names that, most people know, so not necessarily your, backyard Bob, in, this league or whatever. So we're battling people that people know, and we're getting 2024 started off right. So
yeah, and I'm actually looking forward to the 100 Bullets battle. It felt like he hasn't battled in a while, and I don't know. And with 100 Bullets, he's the type of person where, like, no matter who he battles, it's a style clash because he's so diverse as a battler. So I'm actually really looking forward to that one. And again, I think even though, what I'm saying, like, you rep KC to the fullest. Anytime you come back to KC and battle, it's a huge deal. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be a huge battle too. And then you and Loso as a 2-on-2 is one of the more dynamic 2-on-2s in battle rap. And Clean and Mac have also kicked up dust the past year or so doing their 2-on-2 tour. So it's just amazing to see you guys clash in that regard. But I'm very excited for those matchups. Yeah.
I appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you, and reach out in the future, man, if you ever need anything, for real.
All right, 100%. Thank you guys for watching the Speaker Language Show, and we are out.